Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Number One Leading Ladies, where we build each other up instead of tear each other down. You know me, Kaylee McMahon. This week, we have a really special guest with us, and I have worked directly with Sharon. So we have Sharon Goldmacher, and she's going to be talking a little bit about PR or public relations. She knows much more on the topic than I do, so I'm going to have her actually introduce herself because I won't do it justice. Go ahead, Sharon.
I'm Sharon Goldmacher, President and CEO of Communications 21. We are a digital marketing and PR firm based in Atlanta, and I founded it in 1992, so I was clearly very young when I did that. No, I'm teasing. We've been around for 28 years and looking forward to getting through the pandemic and seeing what the future holds.
I can't wait to talk about that. Okay, so we have usually 3 questions that we ask each guest, but I know that you have a little bit different knowledge than I think a lot of the types of guests we have on here, so it may go in a different direction, which is totally cool. So what we usually ask, at least in the beginning of starting every business, and I'm hoping you can think back this far, each person we interview on the show is either just starting a business or they've just gotten past traction, or like you've seen the full cycle, which is really awesome. So giving some different types of advice to our listeners. So in the beginning, for me personally, there's always a struggle to start your business. So it's whether you're living with your parents or, putting your first business on a credit card or, taking a HELOC out of your house, whatever it is, to get that bootstrap going. When you started your business, what were the challenges that you first encountered, and then kind of how did you overcome them to start seeing some traction?
Excellent questions. And yes, it was definitely bootstrapped. So I started... I had saved up about $5,000, and that was pretty much all I had. And I had a family that was very supportive, and they were willing to essentially match my $5,000 and give me a little bit of a basis that I could start with. But I also built a good network. I had been, really doing this, what I do, for about 6 years. And I talked with a lot of friends and clients and talked about that I thought that I would give this a try. I never really had a grand plan, let's put it that way. And that would be one thing that I would do over again, is I would spend a little bit more time kind of trying to plan and forecast and really look at where the revenue was coming, what the expenses might be. I mean, it very much was fly by the seat of my pants, which on some instances I think was good because it did motivate me to get new business and really try to succeed. And I'm super competitive anyway by nature, so that was a motivation. But I have to say, I remember registering for my first American Express card. And that was so exciting to see the card and the company name on the card. And now I see member since 1992 on there, and it just kind of gives me a chuckle. But a little bit more planning, I think, would have been good. I'm a marketer, so I'm not good with numbers like you are, Kaylee. So you're the finance queen, and that would probably be the other thing. I should have gotten a little more help on just budgets and what a pro forma was and the things that I'm like, numbers? What? No, not my interest. But I was smart enough to be able to hire somebody pretty soon that could help with that. So
that is so key. You just hit a huge nail on the head. I mean, whether I've dated someone who had a exercise equipment business and who also had sort of like a financial services business and also had many different types of businesses, but that was one thing that their company that works with a lot of Fortune 500 CEOs to kind of help them with personality testing of their employees and things like that across the board. He's like, get a financial professional in your business, because if you are doing blah, 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 and the risk is up here and the margins are down here, what are you doing? You know what I mean? You have to really analyze it. So that was the smartest thing you could have done was hire someone that's what they do, and have them do that, because that's one of the hardest things that I've learned some lessons, honestly, myself, from some really hard lessons, where I'm trying to wear all the hats, you know what I mean? And I don't know it all, and I shouldn't know it all. I know enough, but I don't have the time to dedicate to be perfect, you know what I mean? And so it's having someone that's their role, that's where that needs to go. So good for you for doing that.
Play to your strengths. Absolutely play to your strengths.
Exactly. So speaking of strengths, what would you say, because strengths are usually built from challenges. They're usually built from a place of, I learned this, or not always, but sometimes from a long time ago, previous experience for me, building grit came from many things that I've been through in my past. What would you say have been some of the biggest challenges that you've been through that built those strengths?
Yeah, several. I mean, I'm a very loyal person, and I was just talking about this the other day, that I probably, had I had, I guess, better examples of leadership in the jobs that I had previously, I probably would have never struck out on my own, because I would have been there. I had really bad examples of leadership and no mentorship, and I felt like I could do it differently. I will say it has not been a perfect ride. There's bumps and lessons that you learn along the way. And I do think the hardest thing that I do, that anybody does, is manage other people. People require very little attention, or limited, I'll say. Everybody wants to, have feedback, and that's really important. But my personality is such that I tend to focus on the work, and not always focused on the people. And I learned a very hard lesson when I lost some really good people who were fed up. And that was kind of a moment of awakening for me. And I've worked really hard to change my nature to really focus on those people first. Yeah. So clients will come and go. And I learned that a long, long time ago, that, new leadership comes in, budgets change, economies change. And really what makes the difference is the team that you have around you. So I am very lucky and very blessed to have a great team, and hope that I can hang on to them as long as possible. And my focus really, shifted 180 from client focus. I mean, we're still very focused on that and results oriented. But if you don't have a great team supporting you, then you really don't have anything.
Yeah, that is 100,000 bazillion times true. Oh my gosh. And it's not to say that like you're trying to, like you said, just write off your clients, or, not take care of them, or do the wrong thing or anything like that. You're still, doing your work or whatnot, but just not, just putting your people first, Yeah. That's.
And I know it sounds trite, but it's very true. And especially in, I think, today's environment, especially during a pandemic, when I'm lucky enough that we have enough space here and can be socially distant, and everybody wears masks, and it's been helpful because we're in a creative business, and it's very hard to be creative when you're remote. Yeah, it just is. And so I feel lucky that everybody's kind of on board with that. But at the same time, I feel for companies that have to be remote and are trying to keep those connections with people, because it's challenging in a pandemic, most definitely.
Speaking of the pandemic, how would you say that it has affected your business, or provided challenges and maybe even some non-expected wins, during this time?
Yeah, definitely some non-expected wins, because part of what we do, everything from digital marketing, so email marketing, social media, website development, that can kind of happen regardless. But we also do events, and we do some fun events and some business-oriented events, and those kind of went away. And we were lucky in that our digital side has picked up. Mm-hmm. We were able to do kind of virtual events and more videos and more digital marketing in general. But we are seeing some of the effects on our clients, and that will trickle down to us. So we're beating the bushes, and doing my best to continue to market and stay involved in Crew Atlanta. I will now be co-chairing the communications committee, which will be great. Yeah. And continue to try and just do the normal marketing things in an abnormal setting. So just trying to keep our name out there and stay as busy as we possibly can.
Yeah, and that's how I found out about you guys. Actually, was through CREW, which is Commercial Real Estate Women. For anyone listening that's never heard of that, if you're in any kind of commercial real estate business, so it doesn't matter if it's, for me, apartments, or if it's land leases, or if it's, anything commercial real estate. So there's all kinds of different vendors and professionals, and a huge group, and it's actually global, which is pretty cool. I heard about you, and it doesn't matter, which is, I think, the cool thing about being digital, that it doesn't matter that you're in Georgia and I'm in Texas. I still think out of the 10 people I talked to, you were the best. You know what I mean? So that's why I decided to go with you guys. And I'll also, obviously publish this, I'll put you guys on LinkedIn as well, because I believe in, helping other people out too, So, that's the only thing.
You're so active on it. I'm so impressed with how you make use of CREW. So I see your posts
all the time,
which is great though. No, I mean, that's what it's for, and that's how it should be used. And so, I think that's also a lesson learned for people out there that, not everybody is, I've got folks on my team who are probably more introverted than they are extroverted. And I probably tend to be borderline introvert, extrovert. So sometimes I have to push myself in a physical setting to go up to people and introduce myself. But in a virtual setting, it can be a lot more comfortable. So people that would have never thought about marketing themselves are really, finding an opportunity to do that. So I think, organizations like CREW really do. And because they're so focused on women, most of my team for the almost 30 years I've been around had been women. And I'm focused on making sure women succeed, whether that's here or they take skills that they learn here and they go elsewhere. That has been a huge focus of mine. And I know that's a huge focus of yours in terms of just how your business is set up.
Yeah, your team. So I
think our year is coming, I hope.
Oh yeah. And in the way that you take care of your people, that always comes back, same thing with me. I always have to push people pretty hard to get them to really have a real deep conversation about our quarterly goals. I'm like, I legitimately want to know financially, personally, and in business, what are your goals, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? And I mean it, because if I have an ability to introduce you to someone right now that has that I don't have, or like one of our team members, our underwriter, she was like, I want to take down a deal this year. And I said, I promise you we will. And so we're doing it right now. You know what I mean? And because I put a lot of pressure on myself to do what I say I'm going to do, even if it's not right now, if it's not right at the right time, whatever, or on time that they want, I still will make it happen. So we both value our people, which I think is important, especially if people are watching podcasts or listening to things, kind of getting that influence from other people. Those are the kinds of people that I think are, as a not just company, but like as a leader, good at their core.
Right.
And, obviously that's part of like resiliency. So during the lockdown for me, CREW became huge because I thought about, okay, well, I can't go out there and network, and I can't go do what I normally do and meet new people, but we can focus on what I do have already, which was, that network. And so that's why I started being more active on it more than ever, and then LinkedIn and those kinds of things, because that's what I did have. And then also my team was who I did have, so going kind of like slowing down a little bit, and instead of chasing, kind of letting it come to you, and then focusing on those people that have been there for you, it will come to you, so I like your motto and your style.
Well, thanks.
Of course. Now, what would you say has probably been your biggest win?
Oh, ever?
Sure.
Interestingly, I volunteered to work. Well, I have a very good friend that I used to work with who voluntold me on a project way back when in 2007. And he's like, you need to work on this. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And I volunteered for the local organizing committee in Atlanta that was going to be hosting the NCAA men's Final Four.
Wow.
And so I, as a volunteer, worked on the marketing PR committee. And I think that was in 2007. And then in 2008, I was hired by the city to work on the bid to get it back. And so that was great. That was like business that I wouldn't have had. And, from a volunteer experience, that was very cool. And then they came to me and said, who do you think should run the local organizing committee? And I gave them like 3 or 4 names and didn't really hear anything. And then like a couple months later, they were like, we'd like you to run. And I'm like, I have a job. I have a company. Like, how's that going to work? And it ended up working.
Oh, wow.
So I ran the NCAA Men's Final Four in 2013 and the company, and I was exhausted after. But I would say that was a cool win because it was really pushed me outside my comfort zone. Mm-hmm. I had never really, I was managing 30 volunteers and paid people and a global, a tournament that is loved by the world, and working with the NCAA, which was just, they're a wonderful organization, and they made it really easy to work with. But I think a lot of people don't know that those tournaments are largely run by volunteers.
Really?
So,
no, I didn't know that either, actually.
Yeah.
Tell you the
but
truth.
It was very cool. And as a result, there were a lot of relationships that came to bear out of that.
That's what I was going to ask, if, because I'm sure that it helped with visibility too, as far as
Absolutely.
I did this, you know what I mean? And you're really good about that when it comes to picking people for me to reach out to or to work with when it comes to PR. And then, we're even working on things right now where I've tried to apply myself, to different things like Bigger Pockets or whatever. And, I just answered their questions, like, how hard is it, you'd think, and then they don't talk to me, they don't respond. You're like, well, we're going to do it in a different way. And the way that you guys were kind of doing it was a little bit more like flattering, I guess, of myself. And of course, when you're writing your own bio and you're writing your own stuff,
really
you can put the facts like, I own this or I've done this, but you really don't elaborate, and you really don't usually like to talk about yourself, so that's really awesome.
It's hard to humble brag about yourself.
Humble brag. That's funny. That's actually a new
Absolutely.
word. That's a new word for me. So before I ask our audience or give our audience information about how to get a hold of you, what would you say if you had one thing that if you are advertising your own business or you're bootstrapping and you're new, what is like one easy thing that you could do to get started today, getting some people looking in your direction or getting some attention?
I do think social media is a low-hanging fruit and really, really great opportunity for instant visibility. Mm-hmm. But you have to be consistent with it. And I am the perfect example of the cobbler's kids have no shoes, meaning I can tell everybody what to do and do it for everybody else, but to do it for myself is very challenging. But I would say LinkedIn is by far the most powerful tool for businesses, even ones just getting started, and to be regularly posting content that is about, probably the ratio I would say is about 30% about yourself and about 60% about the industry, and relevant information that people would find useful. But sprinkle that in there that, hey, you do this too, and you can bring expertise to the table. But to be posting, 2-3 times a week, if not more, is really one of the easiest things that you can do with little to no money and get some visibility and make connections. We just actually helped someone launch a book, which I don't normally do, but I had a relationship with the person, and we found probably, 15 LinkedIn groups that we recommended that he join. And again, just not be too self-promotional, but join the group, join the conversation, and through that, really try to increase their connections pretty quickly.
Okay, pretty cool. And I cheat a little bit, so some of the visibility that I have comes from using like Hootsuite, where you can post one time and it posts to all your socials. Because I'm like, I used to do it all by hand, and then that's what became inconsistent because I was like, this is just too much of a chore, Or like on LinkedIn, for example, there's a couple of widgets that you can get through Google Chrome that will actually like Duck Soup and one other one that I'm testing out. Oh, Hello Alfred. And then there's one other one where you can basically like put together these automated message sequences where it's a first message, very light, like, hey, how are you doing? But not an annoying one. Usually what I do is I tout what we have done in the past, like some success that we've had, and say, hey, here's what our investors or our client has experienced. Is there any interest in experiencing that yourself? And they'll just say no, won't respond. Or if they say yeah, usually then it will start, anyway, there's like 3 responses to them, and I'm not doing any of it. So it helps with consistency to do that kind of stuff.
Where you can automate, I think, great. Authentic content, though, is very important.
Right.
So people that may use something that's generated all the time is not going to catch people's attention. So that, that's why in part there are companies like mine that exist to help. But it's still about authenticity and really knowing your audience and knowing the content that will resonate with them.
And one thing, and maybe you can say that I'm wrong or that I'm right on this one, on LinkedIn, you're 100% right for my type of audience or very professional individuals, that it's a really great place to find them. But also video content native, like on the platform. So if you get into your profile and you don't share a pre-recorded video, if you get onto that platform and you shoot a video right then, it's native. So that gets a lot more attention, or maybe the algorithms like it or whatnot. So that's one thing that that I've learned to start doing, which is hard, but
It is, but yeah, video by far outperforms any kind of text or graphic combination even. And even spending a little bit of money, like some of our clients will boost their posts for $50 for a week or two. And they're shocked at the, and especially with video. We did, for one client, I think we spent, I want to say $100 over 2 weeks, and got 600 views on their video. And they were just like, oh my God, it was so inexpensive. And I'm like, yeah, if you put some actual money behind it, we would have done better. But, you work within your limitations, and 600 views is better than none. So
I'm working on that right now.
Test and try.
Right. And you're right, because that's actually really important, because like A/B testing, and not just shooting it out there all at once. So I'm learning that when you're testing out your ad copy, you're testing out your call to action, you're testing out your fear of missing out, or like a challenging thing, like here's some shocking information you didn't know. So it evokes somebody to feel fear, and then they pay attention, and then you give them a call to action. So you're kind of testing that out, for the first week or something, and then seeing, what type of demographic you're hitting. Like, is it mostly women? Is it mostly men? Is it this age group? And then making your next ad that's specifically just to that traction channel, if you will. So I'm trying that out right now for the first time on LinkedIn. And we'll see. I'll know on Saturday how it goes, and then I'm going to talk to a LinkedIn expert. You have to book an appointment with them, and they take a while, or unless you already have somebody. But anyway, LinkedIn is a great place, and I thank you for helping me with that.
Yeah, we're happy to do anything that you would like, Kaylee. So.
Yeah, you guys offer so many services. It's crazy.
Well, you have to.
Yes,
so.
Yes. And then you guys obviously change with the times. So we're about at a minute or a minute and a half left of our time together today. So I do want to ask, Sharon, if anyone on the show or the podcast finds your information and they go, okay, because there's so many different kinds of PR. I'm even learning this last week. There's untraditional PR. There's like shock type PR, where it's something that's totally different that people aren't used to, that gets their attention. There's all kinds of different things that you can do in this realm of PR. But if you want to beat obscurity and get out there and have people know who you are, you kind of have to do it at some level. So if someone wants to call or email or get a hold of y'all, or look at some past examples of what you do, how can our audience get a hold of you?
Sure. You can go to C21PR.com, and that's our website, which actually we're going to be launching, I'm hoping, this week, a brand new site. So, of course, I've been the cog in the wheel that's been holding things up, but we should have a new site. If not this week, then next week. And you can find us on LinkedIn at Communications21, or on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Some combinations are C21PR, and you can find everything you need to know on the website, though. But we'll have case studies and The new site will have more video and updated case studies. And again, it's hard to market for yourself when you're marketing for other people, but we're trying to make a concerted effort as we enter into 2021 for C21.
Awesome. That is a great way to end today's show. Okay, Sharon, thank you so much for your time today. And everyone who's listening, I'll see you again next week on Number One Leading Ladies, where we help each other to build each other up instead of tear each other down. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Kaylee.